I was forced into this marriage and don't feel anything for you. If you think I'll ever love you, you're mistaken. Once upon a time, Ada was rubbing her eyes as she walked tiredly to her bathroom for her morning routine, brushing her teeth, praying, and bathing. This had been her life for the past 2 years since she graduated from secondary school. Despite passing her WAE and JAM exams, her father, Chief Ikenna, couldn't care less. He never wanted her to attend university. Her mother had no say in the matter because Chief Ikenna's decisions were final, and her older brothers, who were studying abroad, had no influence either. Chief Ikenna's word was law, and no one dared to argue with him. Ada spent most of her days in the living room, as she wasn't allowed to visit her friends, nor were her friends allowed to visit her, according to her father's orders. "I will not allow you to go out and spoil my name," he would say, after she dressed up. One morning, as the enticing aroma of smoky jollof rice and chicken wafted through the house, Ada's maid, Ni, made sure everything was tidy and meals were on time. Even with the maid around, Ada knew how to cook and handle other chores. "Thank you," she told Ni, since her parents were on a business trip, leaving her home alone with Ni and Mr. Okoro, the security guard. After eating, Ada helped Ni with the dishes and went to the living room to watch TV. When she heard a knock on the front door, she opened it to find Mr. and Mrs. Somtochukwu smiling at her. She ushered them in. "Please come in," she said. "How are your parents?" Mr. Somto asked as he sat on the sofa. "They are fine," Ada responded. She changed the channel to Nollywood from Nat Geo Wild. "So, you know what I like," Mrs. Somto chuckled. "We just thought it would be nice to check up on you," Mr. Somto said. "Thank you, sir. Please let me get you something to drink." Ada walked to the kitchen and returned with a tray of meat pies and orange juice. After eating, Mr. Somto cleared his throat and said, "I'm guessing your father has told you about your marriage to my son, Ikenna." "Marriage? What marriage?" Ada asked. "Your father, my best friend, and I have agreed to marry our children since we were kids, but I'm guessing he hasn't told you. They'll be back by this evening, so I'm sure he'll let you know then." He smiled. Ada was speechless. She couldn't argue with him because it would be disrespectful, and her father would have her head if she tried. She nodded and forced a smile. "Good. We'll be on our way," he said, standing up with his wife, who followed him out. That evening, when her parents returned home from the airport, Ada helped them with their luggage. "How was your trip, Mama?" she asked when they finally settled in. "Ada, your father and I bought a lot of things for you and have some important news to share at dinner," her mother said excitedly. "Oh, you mean my marriage to Ikenna?" Ada raised an eyebrow. "How did you know?" her mother asked. "I forgot to mention that Mr. Somto and his wife visited earlier." "Oh, since you know, there's no point in hiding it. We even ordered a dinner dress and a wedding dress from Italy. They should arrive any moment," her mother said. There was a knock on the door. "Aha, that should be it," her mother said excitedly, rushing to the front door to collect a box from the delivery person. "Thank you," she said, receiving the package. Ada's father called for her. "Father, I'm coming," Ada replied, rushing to his private sitting room. "I'm sure your mother has told you about your marriage, but first, you are going for a dinner date this evening to spend some time with your husband," he said. "Yes, Father," Ada said, in a low voice. "Do you have any objections?" he asked. "Everything is perfect," she replied. "Good. Now go downstairs to your mother and ask Nini to bring me my medications," Chief Ikenna said. He suffered from high blood pressure due to being overweight. After telling Eni the order, Ada joined her mother. "Let's get you in this dress," her mother beamed, pulling Ada into her bedroom. "Mama, I want to go to university and become a nurse." I want to marry a man I'm in love with. Someone I bring home to you myself, Ada told her mother. Don't let your father hear you say that, dear. You will have to marry Ikenna, and trust me, he's a good guy. But Mama, no buts, my dear. Now let's see how you look in this, she said, pulling out the gown. Ada nodded and changed into the dress. It fit perfectly, and her mother was proud. You look beautiful, my child. I can't wait for the day you finally get married, she said, a tear coming to her eye. 3 weeks isn't a long time, Chief Ikenna said from the doorway. 3 weeks? Ada asked. Do you have a problem with that? Her father asked. No, I just thought it was too soon. How will everything be arranged on such short notice? Are you forgetting who I am? He frowned. No, father. 3 weeks is fine, Ada forced a smile. Good. That evening, Mrs. Ikenna and Ikenna helped Ada get ready for her dinner date. They dressed her in a pretty red silk gown, styled her hair, and added light makeup. Ada sprayed on her favorite perfume. When Ada was ready, she hurried downstairs. A driver was waiting to take her to the restaurant. Before getting into the car, Ada smiled at her mother and waved goodbye. But her smile wasn't genuine. She was hiding her nerves. This was her first date, and she didn't know what to expect. Ada arrived at the restaurant a few minutes early. She sat at a table and waited for Ikenna, growing increasingly upset as the hours passed. After about 2 hours, Ikenna arrived, apologizing for being late due to traffic. However, once seated, he paid little attention to her, focusing instead on his phone. Ada tried to engage him in conversation, but he seemed uninterested. When the date ended, Ada and Ikenna went their separate ways. Ada felt sad and disappointed. When she got home, her parents were waiting and asked how the date went. Ada didn't want to upset them, so she forced another smile and said, "It was fine." She told her parents she was going to her room. Once alone, she cried on her bed until she fell asleep. The hotel's event center was beautifully decorated with chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. Ada's mother was proud of the decorations, especially the beautiful and massive cake from Zoe's Cakes. After making sure everything was perfect, Ada's mother went back home to get ready. She joined Ada in her bedroom, where Ada looked extraordinarily beautiful in her silver gown. Her makeup was perfect for the occasion. With a forced smile, Ada hugged her mother. "The car is waiting," her mother said, as Ikenna helped Ada out. Ikenna was already in the car, frowning because he didn't want to marry Ada. He was in love with Shola, a Yoruba lady with whom he had planned a future. Shola had even left Abuja for Port Harcourt upon hearing about the marriage. She couldn't bear the thought of seeing Ikenna with another woman, although she was carrying his child unknown to him. Ada walked up to the car and took a seat beside Ikenna. He didn't look at her and just stared straight ahead. "I know we both don't want this, but can you at least pretend to be happy?" Ada asked softly. He nodded and forced a smile. "Can we please have the bride and groom on the dance floor?" someone called through the microphone. Hesitantly, they both walked to the dance floor. Their actions seemed stiff, but only their families knew why. Ikenna took Ada's hand and pulled her closer as they swayed gently to the music. Ada looked into his eyes, taking in his features. Pictures were taken, mostly of Ikenna and Ada, with a few, including family and friends. The wedding came to a close, and gradually the hall emptied, leaving just the family members. Ada's cousins congratulated her with hugs. "Thank you, Jasmine," Ada replied, though she felt hollow inside. Before long, it was time for Ikenna and Ada to leave for the airport. The driver took them to the airport, where they were immediately checked in. Their parents had sent their luggage ahead. and they were booked into a hotel suite in Dubai as a wedding gift. When they arrived in Dubai, a car was waiting to take them to the hotel. "Congratulations, sir and madam," the receptionist said as they checked in. They thanked him and were shown to their room. "This is beautiful," Ada commented, admiring the room. "Yeah," Ikenna shrugged. The room was indeed beautifully decorated for the newlyweds. Rose petals were scattered across the floor, creating a soft, romantic path. On the large, comfy bed lay sexy lingerie for Ada. Ikenna looked at Ada with disgust. "I just want to make it clear that I was never yours and never will be. I was forced into this marriage and I don't feel anything for you. If you think I'll ever love you, you're mistaken. We will live together, not as husband and wife, but as strangers. We will never be intimate. Understood?" Ada's heart ached. Although she never wanted the marriage either, this wasn't what she had imagined her married life to be. Watch out for episode 2.